Hello to one and all, to our all listeners and Lucent fans all over internet, all over the world, and watchers, and welcome to our Lucent Mists of Pandaria rundown. My name is Mihai, my in-game character name is Apravia, and today I will be your host for our highly anticipated and most anticipated officer talk show. Here with me I have the guild master and the two officers of the guild, Chosen, an enhancement shaman, Jelu, a restoration druid, and Soman, Death Knight. Hello guys, hello Chosen, Jelu, Soman, and I'm really happy to have you here at last. How are you guys?
Yeah, hello Abravia. First of all, thanks for organizing this chance to have this officer coffee talk show finally. And well, to be honest, I myself enjoy being back in business regarding Warcraft after 10 years of gameplay.
Is everybody having some sort of drink ready or coffee, or because it's gonna be a long evening probably and a very fun one too?
Yeah, a bottle of vodka.
Bottle of vodka.
That's nice. Bottle of water.
A casual approach, I guess.
Yes, that's well, we are relaxed. It's a very nice evening, so yeah, let's move on. So my first topic is directed to Chosen, actually. So we all know you have been the guildmaster of the group ever since we started raiding back in September 2012. So it's already been exactly 2 years this month. Yeah, so that's amazing. So my punctual question is, whose idea was it that you would start leading this group? How did everything start back in the day, 2 years ago?
Well, how should I put it? I guess I was the less lazy of organizing the runs, first of all. Well, I had a question in my mind, I guess, that what if there is a chance of going casual after 10 years of veteran gameplay and experiencing being in the world best guilds and nailing Lich King Heroic, Sinestra, or well, for Galu, he was in Naxxramas in Vanilla, and I wanted to bring together people like this and raid together with them while not sacrificing too much in real life. And well, to be honest, I had these people who knew very well how to act and behave. That's very important during the raids. So in the end, it just came down to tactics and leading, I guess. And after that, well, we had our ups and downs, but in my opinion, we grew up to the task.
So I guess it was a very important factor is that you knew all these guys in real life. It was a very strong motivation to start the group, isn't it?
And I knew that all of them are absolute professionals. Yes, and I wanted to forge these professional peoples into casual peoples while maintaining the skill factor, I guess.
Well, you already covered a part of my next question, which is also for you. But can you tell us briefly about yourself? How did you start playing WoW and when? Exactly the day. Can you remember anything like who introduced you to World of Warcraft and what was your very first character ever? Or maybe a noobish mistake that we would all like to laugh about?
Yeah, well, I was a Warcraft fan from the start, and I started playing in the summer after the release of Warcraft, so, well, I'm almost a 10-year-old player. But, well, first I was a warrior tank, but, well, here is the fun fact. I learned that what shields are for on level 60 and what defensive stance is for, or I thought that I did not understand why other people asked me to go with a shield and in defensive stance in Stratholme, old school Stratholme that is, because I wanted to go and rush in with a two-hander and I did not understand why we get gift. So, for example, this.
So
this was a fun fact.
So you created and you've been playing your enhancement shaman ever since Vanilla, when it wasn't even considered a spec. And the enhancement.
It was a warrior, as I said.
Yes, but the enhancement shaman. When did you roll the enhancement shaman?
It was it was a char of my bro, first of all, in TBC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I started playing it in the Wrath of the Lich King only when I finally could sit down after high school, and I'm in secondary school, and I could start properly raiding in professional guilds. That's when I chose Enhancement Shaman to be my main and final character, I guess.
Okay, so then when it was you have chosen the Chosen as my shaman. Why the name Chosen, by the way? Can you tell us briefly?
It was chosen.
It was chosen.
It was chosen by my brother because I don't know. I think this is gonna be I don't know if it's funny or embarrassing, but his and my one of the most favorite movies is Star Wars, and there you have the Chosen one. So
right.
I guess that's when the last episode came out, and something like that. I don't know. It was in his mind, so it's just again a fun fact.
Gentlemen, Soman, you've been really silent. Was everything alright?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
it's fine.
I've been waiting for Chosen to stop for a
To
minute.
finish, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted
take
to
a
add.
breath.
I wanted to add a few thoughts as well to the first question. I believe that Chosen became the leader and the heart of the guild mainly because he could convince most of us to come back to the game, and that was a very important thing. I mean, I wasn't playing and I didn't plan to play in Mist of Pandaria, but he convinced me as well and some other guys to come back to the game and play together, because the plan with this guild and casual raiding with progress basically meant it to me that I can be still a good raider and have a very good real life. So I wanted to give it a shot,
So-
and I guess others thought the same.
It ended up being a winning card for you at the end of the day because you could keep up your game.
Yeah.
You two are just as important as him because along these 2 years you've only two have been the officers in the guild. Well, there was a time where Sherazade was officer as well before he quit, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure
He
whether
wasn't.
he wasn't. So
No.
Okay, so this leaves to you two down to have been the only two officer that we had in 2 years, which many guilds just switch officers maybe from one raid tier to another, but we've been having this team for such a long time. What do you think about this, having the same leadership for so long?
It couldn't have been done without these two, for example. I'm pretty sure about it. But I don't know. It was fine. We were keeping up fine. We needed someone to do the recruitment and the other technical stuff which we managed in the Facebook group. It was Galu who needed to maintain I don't know, the atmosphere in some of the rounds. Well, I did the leading.
By the power of the sun, you mean?
Yeah.
And Galu, I think everybody's curious to hearing it. How did you start playing World of Warcraft in the first place? I asked the same question to Chosen because it's a really interesting question, and sometimes I know we can feel embarrassed because we were all newbies once back in the day. But how did you start? And maybe mention one really stupid mistake that you did when you were a newbie.
Well, I played Warcraft 3 on Battle.net quite often. I really loved that strategy game, and when I knew that World of Warcraft is coming out, there was no question that I'm going to buy it. With Sherazade, we are good friends in real life, and we decided together what character we want to start. Basically, it was very close that I started a mage instead of a druid, but since Sherazade took the mage class, I had to pick something else. So I picked druid, and since then I haven't changed character, so it's still the druid. So we started together, we leveled together. Basically, we were in the same guilds most of the time. A stupid mistake. Well,
It can be anything. It can be just a minor thing that make us laugh.
That's a hard question. Now,
He was a pro from the start. So you can
no,
understand that.
I really wouldn't say that. I really wouldn't say that. Well, I know that it happened once or twice that at C2 I killed like 10 people by running and chaining the I-beam to others in vanilla. I can't remember anything else right now. That could be funny.
I was thinking about something like technical error. For example, what the great mistake I did was like, I've noticed that we have talent trees, and I said, cool, I'm going to fill all 3 of them. Top to bottom. So that's what I tried to do, and I ended up being of this very weird hybrid class that nobody understood because, yeah.
You were an eager one.
Yes, and by the end of the leveling process, I noticed that there are so many talents, but I have only 50 talent points. And the math didn't click. Same question for you, Saman. Let's move over to you now. How did you start playing WoW, and how did you end up playing with this group now that we are still playing with?
Oh, well, I started playing WoW like 8 years ago or so. I started playing mainly for the same reason as Galu, because I really, really loved Warcraft 3 and the whole Warcraft universe, the story, the background, everything. And first I rolled a Hunter, Felsong. It was my main for many, many years. About rookie mistakes, right at the beginning, I was spam clicking right-click on the mobs you wish to attack because I didn't really grasp the concept of auto-attacking, as the name says.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Later on, there was another funny thing. When I hit level 40, and I was so psyched about mail armor and shit, so I bought up mail armor for each slot I could find on the auction house, and most of it were scattered with useless stats for a hunter, like strengths, resistances, everything basically, but not agility. So
fantastic! So I think this is the best answer so far, in my opinion. Because this is an answer that brings back memories. I think all of us have done that.
Yeah.
At least, once probably.
For example, I never changed weapon because I had one which had more stamina on it, and even after 30, not item levels, but levels, I did not change my weapon because I did not care about the damage it showed. So, but only the stamina. So yeah.
Stats were weird back then, and you could have skipped 30 levels and not get one with higher stamina. Yeah, well, about, how I met these guys, and, there was a Hungarian channel on Silver Moon, and by chance my brother talked with someone from there, and then they told him about the channel, so it was totally by chance. And then, we started hanging around, and at the end of Vanilla, we started playing together, stuff like that. And ever since then, it's always been the main factor for me playing WoW, that I can play with these guys, with them, because, they are my real-life friends as well now, not just my in-game friends, and it's really, really cool to play together.
I remember... I'm reminiscent of something you said a few months ago, like progressing in the raid is like the cake, and doing it with friends, progressing it actually with friends is like the icing on the cake. I simply remember what you did then. And
no, it's the other way around. The cake is playing with friends. The progress is the icing.
Oh, so it's the icing. Okay.
So it's more important to play in a good environment with good people you like to play with. If it happens to be a good progression environment, then it's even better. But
it's a bonus. Actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, moving on, let's dig into the Mists of Pandaria facts, shall we? So, speaking of Mists of Pandaria specifically, are you satisfied with what you have achieved in the expansion so far, how the expansion rolled out for you, both as individual players as well as guild officers and guildmaster respectively as a whole? So, Chosen, can you start developing on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, to be honest, I'm totally cool with what we managed. To be honest, when we started doing this, I had I thought that we wouldn't last that long because first it was we planned to only do one raid days, and I didn't know what we can manage. When you weren't with us, we had a warrior tank who could hardly do the very first boss, the Stone Guardians, and it was very problematic, to be honest. But well, we managed to nail almost all of heroic Siege of Orgrimmar, and it was only May or April. I don't know when we stopped.
In February. End of February we started. It was when we...
No, when we ended raiding.
It was in February this year when we ended raiding Siege of Orgrimmar, when you took the break.
In February?
In February. Yeah, we had one raid in March when I was in Hungary, but that doesn't count, let's say.
Ah, okay. So I was totally cool with what we managed. And while going casual and progressing, we managed to be better than some 3 or 4 raiding day guilds. That was totally awesome to feel. Finally, I could feel that I'm playing with absolute pro people with good behavior. There weren't people with abusive behavior, and well, it was always fun to log in or just chit chat sometimes. We were a very small guild, but it was nice. The only regret I have is that I let the professional part slip out of my hands. What I mean here is that sometimes we manage to recruit people with bad behavior, and because that was their skills were needed to nail bosses faster, not like we couldn't have done it, to nail bosses faster, and sometimes I felt that my burning out was because of them. That was the demise.
Pretty much like a double-edged sword, double-bladed sword. Yeah. How about you, someone? What do you think about the way the Mr. Pandaria rolled out for you in terms of social interaction with the guild, in terms of progression? What does the balance mean for you that you stroke in Mr. Pandaria? If it was a balance, I don't know what exactly your opinion about this, but that's why I'm asking you. Someone?
Sorry, it was scratching a bit. Could you get to the question again?
Yeah, no problem. It's totally fine. So it's the same question that I have chosen before for you. What do you think? How was the balance from progression to casual raiding for you, Mr. Pandaria? Are you satisfied? Are you not satisfied? Would you have wished for something more, for something less? How do you feel that you have improved or developed yourself as a player during Mr. Pandaria, during these 2 years?
I'm satisfied that we have achieved. More is always better, but I think we hit a sweet spot where our progression was really good. I think it was good for everybody. Everybody enjoyed, and at the same time, we didn't have to invest so much time in playing this game, even though it was really good. So I think the progression/time ratio was really, really nice for us. And I think there is no much better way to measure it, how successful a guild who is raiding limited time, than how much we actually put this time to use. Personally, I don't know. I like it. The most important thing for me was to, just play this game in an environment that I enjoy playing myself. And sometimes I know that, when we are progressing good, then the 2 days seemed so little, so we could raid even more and then progress even faster. And that would have been cool as well. But still, the strength of the guild, I think, is just raiding very few days and still managing things.
We manage. Have you ever been an officer before?
No, never.
And how was the officership experience go for you?
I don't know. I was mainly handling the recruitment and sometimes with strategies or tank inputs to help Chosen developing the tactics. I didn't think it was something special. I still don't think it's something special. Most people could do it. It's just just not focusing on your own job, but also taking more like looking at the whole picture, also thinking about what other people's do, thinking about the whole guild, where we have to fill the roster with one or two more people, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, how we can, overcome those weaknesses and emphasize the strengths.
And it generated some kind of a level of a stress here and there when we were short on people were on vacation, and we had to come up with some ideas. And I know you switched very often from melee DPS to tank, and you spent a lot of gold. Had the flavor for you.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a problem for me because I love all three specs as a Death Knight, so it was good. I even enjoyed it. So I played one spec as a main spec for a while, then switched to another spec. It's really good because I can change the playstyle because DPS and tank are totally different. And still, the goal didn't matter, and it was sometimes back to the previous question about stressful and stuff like that. But I think everyone was so stressful who was keen on keeping on raiding. So, for example, you weren't an officer back then, but I guess you stressed just as much as I did, or Chosen or Galug, about, when thinking about the group's future. Do we have a future? And getting more people so we can stay alive and continue this really nice environment we provided for our raiders.
After all the discussions and ideas, I'm very eagerly waiting for jealous input on this. What do you think? How did Mr. Pandaria unfold for you? Because you had some really sketchy situations.
Well, I think that we did far more than what I expected when the group started. As Chosen said, we started as a one-day raiding guild, and of course we had only the expectations of what a one-day raiding guild can have. But with each tier, with each fight, and with each boss, I think the group improved a lot. We started working together even better than before, and the improvement on the group was just amazing. I think especially after we killed Will of the Emperor Heroic, there was a huge breakpoint after what we basically started to believe that we can do far more and a lot more than we did before. That was a huge breakpoint, and after that, with every single tier, we became far more professional. So basically, finishing this expansion in February with only 3 heroic bosses missing in the whole expansion, I think that's something we didn't actually believe at the beginning of the expansion, that we can achieve something like that. So we all can say that we did pretty good.
By the way, now that you told me that we stopped raiding in February, and now that I realize that some other lesser guilds are doing heroic Garrosh, I so regret this, and I know what we would have been able to nail, but nevertheless, we will be still awesome.
Personally, my personal bet would have been, I would have bet on a Garrosh kill in end of May, if we were still together. And the latest, at least, if not end of May, in the first day when the second round of Valor upgrades kicked in by Blizzard, because it would have been completely overpowered.
I'm pretty sure about that, because I just improved half of my gear. I'm in the second turn, and I am almost double as powerful. So it's unbelievable on the DPSer side, and I guess this goes for a healer as well regarding numbers. So it's unbelievable.
People are now skipping phases with high gear, and it's become quite of a joke, but still a very complicated fight nonetheless. So moving on to the more harder, more difficult questions, and more interesting, I think, in my opinion. So it comes down to this. Can you detail a bit about the impact Mists of Pandaria had on ourselves and on yourselves? It gets it gets deeper in terms of emotions and so on, as you have noticed. But the raid tiers, the number of bosses, the boss difficulty, the relationship to your personal lives. how did you perceive Mists of Pandaria from this point of view? How did the changes brought in the game by Mists of Pandaria change your classes that you are playing, comparing to the other expansions that you have experienced before, or in the previous expansions? Can you elaborate a bit on that? And who would like to start on this, because I do not want to nominate this time?
Here, well, I go first. I've never gone first so far. So, well, I've swapped mains because I was playing Hunter from the beginning in Vanilla, Burning Crusade, and Lich King. In Kata, I didn't really relate, so I didn't have a main so much, but I was playing my DK as much as my Hunter then. And I was playing my DK since the start of VOTRK, but only for Ultrons and Pugs, and I swapped mains to DK in Pandaria. Some part of it was because I somewhat got bored of Hunter. It's a nice class, and I'm really enjoying it playing as an alt, but as a main it was enough, so I swapped to DK. The other reason was that in our group it was good to have one stable tank, and I know I was always going to play if they are playing, because I really like playing with these guys, and I also really like raiding, so doing the two together is just really cool.
Excuse me, but I was really curious about your perception on the boss difficulty and the 3 tiers that we had in Mists of Pandaria, the content. Actually, the actual content.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the first tier, I think the difficulty of Mogushan was where it should be. So on normal, it was challenging in the crappy gear in the beginning, but it was easy to overcome with an organized group still. On heroic, well, the last boss was insane. The rest, other than that, the 4 guardians was more of like an awareness fight. It was really nice as well, but it wasn't too difficult an instance, I'd say. The others in the first raiding tier, Mists of Pandaria, I don't know, I can't place them. They were not super difficult, but with a limited time frame, I think we achieved what we could. And in Throne of Thunder, yeah, I still think Throne of Thunder was one of our best, achievements this expansion raiding-wise, because we started really weak and we were only raiding 1 days at the start, and the progression was really slow. But in the end, I think we finished up nicely with just before Dark Animus. In the last tier, well, I don't know, but we've talked about it before. So we stopped raiding in February. We could have achieved a lot more if we just, kept on raiding with the group and recruited some more people to replace. But somewhat the spirit was lost and we were burnt out and tired. But I still think it was a nice run.
Yeah, and even the last year was the most forgiving of them all, because it's been up for such a long time.
Yes, indeed, it was up for a really long time, but I don't know, if we kept raiding, I'm totally sure that I would be even more bored of that instance than I was back in February.
Moving on really fast to Chosen, because you've been doing tactics all the expansion long, so you must have really interesting point of view here to say.
Oh, well, regarding leading, I don't know, maybe Gelu is more competent in answering this question, since he was a raid leader far longer than me, and sometimes he led some fights as well. But to be honest, since being more casual in our respect, I mean when it comes to Lucent, while also pushing, it was a bit more of a babysit type, as Gelu and Somond described it sometimes, of a raid leading. Because although we had very competent veterans with us, I did not want to sacrifice 1-2 tries by having only 2 raid days, I guess. And I'm not too keen on talking, and sometimes when either I was not too keen on talking whole nights, I still felt that I need to call out everything, almost also which cooldown of mine is coming up, really. For example, if you remember Shah Heroic calling out every inch of the fight. So really, it was not about this expansion, but it was about our philosophy and how we wanted to progress with the limited time, which gave me the task, a tougher task than some other people experienced in the past, in my opinion. This was the toughest. How to handle, in my opinion.
How about the tactics? Because your tactics were really inspiring this expansion. You came up with a lot of tactics with all of text, especially the legendary Dark Animus tactic. It was like four pages.
I know, and it was very annoying for some people. I'm well aware of that, but I knew, because I have this concept that if every people comes to the raid with proper preparation. So, for example, let's say that in their brain they are capable of pulling off raid leading, because they know every inch of the fight. Then we will surely nail the fight in a couple of tries, if it's not very tough. So this is why I wanted to do this. If some people just read one or two, just read through once or twice, then I was pretty sure that it will come down to knowing better the fight. But it was very tough for me, because I was never raid leading before. This was the first time for me. I remember that back then in the first tier, Gelu always told me not to talk that much before the first couple of tries, rather experience. And well, yeah, I had to get the hang of it, but I guess in the very end, I think I will keep this up, the wall of tech stuff and talking less between tries, but I still need to improve on that department.
Is this true, Jello, about the talking part that you whispered him in the first tier?
Well, yeah, not just that. I mean, I tried to give as many advices as I could, not just for leading, raid leading. That basically contained everything, because I believe that after my experience, the biggest help I can give is giving advices. Of course, I didn't want to make him do things the way I suggested, but I wanted to be his right hand in everything and giving as many advices as I could give. Because back then, when I was a leader, I know that Sherazade helped me as much as he could, the same way as I wanted to help Chosen. So yeah, I believed, and I still believe, that during the first few pulls, it's not necessary to talk 10-15 minutes about the fight, because 4 or 5 minutes or 3 minutes after the first sentence, people won't even remember anything. So experiencing step by step can make a lot more difference and can make the progress faster.
Definitely, because of the clearness of the mind that we get to have by progressing step by step. Is that right?
Yes, the clearness, exactly. They know what we expect. They can learn different aspects of the fight one at a time.
For me, for example, because I really need to say this, otherwise I probably forget. But a boss fight, or especially a heroic fight, is like a very complicated 6-layer chocolate cake. So if you take a spoon and you dig it right inside from the bottom to the top, you get all the ingredients and you don't know what that is exactly. But if you cut piece by piece, then you see the layer, the cake, the filling, the cream, the icing, and everything. So that's how we should. In my opinion, that's my philosophy on approaching a heroic fight. Just learn it literally piece by piece. Slice by slice.
Yes, I absolutely agree, and not just the heroic fight. Basically, every fight can work the same way. Learning it step by step and gradually, in the end, it can mean you basically spend less time on the boss. And the mood is absolutely different, because if you learn a fight step by step, people will always have small victories in the fight. That, okay guys, we learned that, we know how to do that, okay, let's focus on something else now. And the people believe that during the fight, during pulls and vibes, we are still progressing. And as long as people feel we are progressing, they will pay attention to everything, pay attention a lot more than, let's say, it's the 17th pool that night and they don't see anything going forward.
How was it raid leading as a restoration druid? How was the restoration druid appeal to you in Mr. Pandaria? Because he had some issues to address in the first part of the expansion.
Yes. Well, I believe that Resto Druid wasn't the best at the beginning of the expansion, at least compared to other healing classes like Paladin or Disc Priests. And saying again, I'm talking about at the beginning of the expansion. And until they changed the Druid a bit, giving it some healing boost and switching the Fluorescence to the Mushroom, that was a very, very huge buff to the class. I believe it needed it. And after that also we got better gear, we got more haste. And with enough haste, the class can do miracles. So by the end of the expansion, I believe Resto Druid was one of the best healers, especially to some fights. In general, it was quite okay. On some fight, it was just amazing. But and raid leading as a Resto Druid, well, I was raid leading as a Resto Druid before Lucent for 3-4 years, so I have the experience from that. Basically, I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing with my character. I'm just paying attention to the fight and what to say to the raid, what to do. Chosen is more like the guy of preparation. I'm no longer that guy. I think I'm stronger in reaction during fights or between pulls to realize where we can make small changes, where we can advance, where are the weak points. And I believe that as a healer, I can see a lot more from the fight, what happened to who that guy died from what, and so on and so on. I believe that the healing class is very good to see the whole picture, to get more reasons, and I really like it. I still like it, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be the same the next expansion as well.
There are many conceptions to think about. Actually, for me personally, you brought us really how to call it, valuable information. Maybe it's an interview, maybe some people probably skip it, but it was a raid leading Resto Druid lesson. A very short one, but still nonetheless. Wow, guys, that was a really intense conversation. So let's move on. So speaking about the PV, I'm sticking to the PV aspect of the game. So speaking about that, of the PV content of Mist of Pandaria, how was it comparing to other expansions? More demanding, less demanding in terms of raid leading and required effort for leading the raids? What's your take on that, comparing to other expansions? To repeat myself.
In my opinion, Gelu should aim for answering this question, to be honest.
Exactly. So Gelu.
Thanks for the chance, first of all, to answer this question. I believe Mist of Pandaria is right in the middle in difficulty. It's where it should be. The whole expansion. It's not harder than most of the expansions. There are a lot more expansions than ever harder. For example, Vanilla was quite hard. TBC was also quite hard.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Wrath of the Lich King, I believe it was easier, a bit easier than Pandaria, especially most of the contents. if you don't count the Lich King, the fight, the other fights were pretty easy.
You can count Naxxramas 25.
Yeah, Naxxramas 25. Yeah, that's like Stone Guards on all fights, all 14 fights. So yeah, I believe Mist of Pandaria was very, very well designed if they wanted to aim it to people who are not totally hardcore and endgame raiders. For the normal guys, it was very, very well designed. And I believe that Throne of Thunder itself was a very good instance with good mechanics on the fights, good ideas, and it was enjoyable from the beginning to the end. It was one of the most enjoyable raiding contents. I can compare it to Ulduar, or I can compare it to the legendary Nax 40 of Vanilla. It was amazing. If you ask me, tactically and tactic-wise, the fights, if you ask me, are designed the way that there are one or two mechanics, complex mechanics that you need to get through, you need to learn, and basically then the fight is done and you can kill it. So I don't believe that it was very demanding leading wise, but of course there are certain fights like Will of the Emperor without a rogue and people who can absorb the spark, which was a huge challenge for the raid leader to find out how to rotate and bring all single class and person in the raid into the rotation to absorb the sparks. And there are other fights as well.
And Tortos, for the matter of fact.
And Tortos,
Yeah.
exactly.
To find a good football player.
So there were fights that were challenging, but I believe that the fights and the expansion is where it should be. It can give you the feeling of success, not so easily, but with some effort you get what you wanted, and that makes most of the raiders satisfied. And I believe that this way the developers did a great job.
Everyone agrees. Yeah, I totally agree with him. It was a great expansion with some faults here and there, like in Heart of Fear, to be more specific. Otherwise, I think it was a great expansion. How about the other two guys think? What do you think, guys?
Well, I think that Gelu nailed it. What I really liked about this expansion that well, the 10-man got more emphasis in this six-pack, and so we could grow up to the task of trying something like this out. I mean, having this small family, let's put it like that, which has Lucent become. Well, in my opinion, Gelu's idea is right, that for example Will of the Emperor was tough considering our roster, but to be honest, this is only true for our 10-man environment, because for example the 25-man, it was hell of an easier job. Still we managed, that was my best fight, to be honest, in the six-pack. I love this X-pack and the tiers. To be honest, this is all I guess I wanted to add, apart from what Gelu already said.
And how about someone? Can you add something, or do you have your input on this, on the fights difficulty, the way they are designed to be led and to be conceived? What do you think?
I can agree with almost everything the guys said before me. Yeah, it's difficulty-wise, it was really nice. I'd say that everyone could find the difficulty he's comfortable with and finish normal with just a few days, or even finish quite some heroics as we did. So I'd say the difficulty was good. Overall, I would even say that the 25 versus 10-man difficulty question, which we heard a lot about during this expansion from the top guilds who were racing, but I don't think it was that bad, apart from a few fights that were mentioned before, like Will of the Emperor heroic or Leishi heroic. Yeah, that were more difficult for 10-man guilds for sure, because of strict setup stuff. Yeah. But I think it was overall well balanced. It was nicely done.
We, yeah. Okay. So let's move to another topic right now, which doesn't have to do with the technical aspect of the game this time. It's about the lore. Who loves the lore of Warcraft? And especially we're focusing on Mists of Pandaria. Who enjoyed the lore of Mists of Pandaria?
Well, I enjoyed it quite a lot. I think it was very good. I love the Peacekeeper ponderance, to be honest, and this yin and yang type of the story. I mean that the people and the players have these inner shards in themselves. To be honest, one thing I missed maybe a little bit the brutality, because the lore, because most of the time when we have demons and stuff, it's it's more Warcraft, I would say, but the lore to me seemed more, coherent. The tiers seem to be closer to each other regarding story than before. Yeah, and I also like that now the expansions seem to be getting connected. I mean, just think about Warlords of Draenor and our last year with Garrosh. It's getting cooler and cooler, in my opinion.
They said we're gonna fight his father in Warlords of Draenor, but
yeah, that's what I think as well. But yeah, let's just leave it to another discussion.
I was just kind of shocked because last year at least Chris Metzen, I think it was Chris Metzen, I'm pretty sure it was him, said that the last boss of the next expansion was not going to be an orc. But what you gonna do right now?
Yeah.
I think Mr. Pandaria was kind of a breath of fresh air among these very brutal expansions like Cataclysm, like Worlds of Draenor, what's about to come out, what was before. I think it was really welcome. What do you think, Gil? What's your opinion on that?
I think, and I love the lore very much. I read everything I could about the Warcraft universe. I believe that they made a very good story from nothing, basically. They didn't use any big names, any historical characters from the Warcraft universe, or almost no historical characters at all, and they still could make a good storyline, a good way to build up this expansion. So I enjoyed it. It was okay, I believe. But my personal opinion is that I love the Burning Legion and stuff like that a bit more than these more drastical things than what happened on Mist of Pandaria. It's just a good coffee break, if I could say, between two more monumental expansions. So I expect a bit more next expansion, but of course they will use big names now, so it's a great chance for them to build something out of this, because we go back to Draenor. They bring up names like Gul'dan, Grom, so that can be something really special. But to finish it with one more sentence, I believe that the fact that they could make this storyline from nothing is amazing.
Yeah, and they go really lightweight with the story, and they ended up with something that mattered. They ended up with some concepts like the idea of August Celestials, the Shine, how the good moon and the bad moon the good feelings and the bad feelings intertwine, and the peace beyond the mist being disrupted by the players who are killing their fight over in unknown lands, never discovered before. I think it was pretty amazing. I enjoyed it extremely. It was top notch for me. What do you think, Samant? Because you're often linking lore stories on the forums and in our group. You must have an opinion on that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I really like the lore as well. I especially love the lore of Warcraft 3 and, the the War of the Ancients trilogy before that, and I think they did a really good job in Mists of Pandaria, because they took something that wasn't so Warcrafty and they integrated it into World of Warcraft, and it fits perfectly. The storyline, introducing these new godlike beings, the Celestials, the emotions driving the whole land, the Shahs, everything. It was really nicely done, and pandas and shit. It was weird at first, but I think they did a really nice job, and they managed to create this part of the World of Warcraft, which is just as World of Warcraft as any other part.
Yeah, that's really true, Someone. This brings me to the next question right away. So at first, when Mists of Pandaria was for the first time announced, excuse me, what you have thought it would have been about when it was first announced, and you had no clue what it was going to be about? Was it better or worse than you have initially anticipated? Although I think I already know the answer, but how would you have expected the main conflict to end in the first place when you were not informed about it, when you are not aware? Would you have expected Garrosh to be the main villain of the expansion when it launched?
No, not by a chance. I don't know. I expected something to be, like a separate universe. That's what I said previously. I was really surprised how well they integrated Mists of Pandaria. So I was expecting, a totally different branch of storyline that does not really connect to the other parts of the World of Warcraft. So they did a really good job, and they developed a really nice storyline that goes through all the World of Warcraft lands and everything we have experienced so far, and leading into the next expansion with Garrosh going back for his father.
Aided by the Bronze Dragonfly. That was a very big surprise for me. Isn't that, guys?
Yeah, from the short story?
From the short story, yeah, because it seems Kairos Dorm aids Garrosh to go back in time and becomes his own father by any chance, and save Grom, as you have seen in the Worlds of Draenor cinematic. What do you think, guys? Chosen? How about you? How would you have expected Mists of Pandaria before it launched, before you knew anything? How would you have imagined?
To be honest, I thought that it was gonna be very dull, very away from the roots of Warcraft, and that Blizzard was aiming for kids as its player base, to be honest. But to be honest, this spec was the biggest surprise for me when it comes to lore. I mean, at the very end, I felt like that I just wanna sit on a hill in the Valley of the Four Winds with Antil drinking vodka or something. I mean, it was awesome with all these Pandarians and what they are about and what the lore was about. And I totally did not expect that it was gonna be Garrosh that Garrosh will be the main villain. To be honest, I expected that there might be a tier about Garrosh with him as the last boss, but totally not him as the last boss. So, for example, the Alliance and the Horde goes against each other, but at the very last tier they join forces against a bigger villain. But it would have been quite a cliche, to be honest.
You mean it happened it ended up as a cliche, or it's okay as it ended now?
No, it's okay. I think that, for example, if the second tier was Siege of Orgrimmar, and then there was to be a bigger villain in the last tier, and Horde and Alliance joining forces. This story was told many times before, and it would have been a cliche as the last tier.
So something
for
like
Mr. Pandaria.
Something like. Super powerful, amazing
Mega
Shah. A mega Shah.
Yeah, something like that.
And what about you, Jello? Because you must have an opinion on that. I'm pretty sure you had your expectations before the expansion launched. What is that we do not know about your thoughts?
I remember the first message I got from Chosen when it turned out it's going to be Mists of Pandaria, and it was a whisper like, what the fuck are these fucking pandas? So that sums up the opinion of his and mine as well. Well, when it turned out it's going to be Mists of Pandaria, I didn't really expect much from the lore. I thought that they burned everything already in the previous expansions. I mean, the Lich King, Deathwing, Kel'Thas, Illidan, Kil'jaeden, everyone is dead, everyone is already used, so they don't really have anything else, so it's just going to be another expansion where they can get money from, but they just can't really bring up anything new at all. So I was mainly focusing on the fights and preparing as a player to them. But as Chosen said, it was a very huge surprise by the end. I mean, the whole story by the end became darker and darker than how it was at the beginning. For example, when Garrosh destroyed the middle area of the island, the Veil. The Veil, yeah, that was quite dark, and it became serious, and I believe him being the end boss this way was a good choice, was a good pick, and it turned out to be a good expansion lore-wise too.
I think you are muted. Or?
Me?
Yeah, you said, was it a good expansion too, or it was like a good expansion as well, because I think I missed your point. I thought you disconnected.
Oh, well, I wanted to say that it was a very, very good expansion by the end from what I expected lore-wise.
Oh, both? You mean both lore-wise and content-wise?
Lore-wise and content-wise, yeah.
Okay. Let's spice it up a bit, and let's talk about annoying parts. What do you think was the most annoying part of Mists of Pandaria, in terms of raiding, in terms of what we call today Lucent? The most frustrating, annoying part. Let's put it that way.
I can already say two, but I give the chance to others.
So let's pick Chosen.
Okay. I can. The first thing which comes up in my mind is Leishi Heroic. Oh yeah,
of course.
That banishing elementals in 10 men. I mean 5 fucking elementals with 10 men. With a very small roster, with not the best roster. I mean, that was totally fucked up regarding balancing. I mean, I can understand when on Will of the Emperor, okay, we had to have twice as many soakers, but on Leishi, I mean, 5 elementals coming up at random places, one-shooting people, and I have, with another warlock, with my brother, having 1 second to do something about it. It was just not good. And I'm very, very, very polite now.
I mean, it was fucking annoying.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, really, when we checked WoW progress, which boss to go for, and Sherazade checked WoW progress and 25 months as well, and we decided on Leishi and Heroic instead of going for the first boss in Heart of Fear.
Vizier Zorlok.
Yeah, well, there were less kills on the Grand Vizier, but I thought that an execution fight would fit our guild, our group way better, and I'm pretty sure that we would have nailed that instead of Leishi Heroic. So yeah, that was the most frustrating moment. The other funny, frustrating moment, in my opinion, for me, is when I came back from my scholarship and on G-Con Heroic, knowing which nest is coming up next and when and where. Well, yeah, that was a frustrating moment as well.
It ended up being a really good fight after we spent 1 month progressing on it. Nice memory. So, were you about to say the same thing, Jalu, or you had something else in mind in terms of frustrating moments?
One was absolutely Leishi Heroic. That's an obvious pick. The other one is Malkorok Heroic.
Oh my god! Okay, how could I have forgotten about that? This is also my top pick.
Yeah, Malkorok Heroic is just amazing. It's so good in destroying all moods to play the game and keep it on your computer. I mean, I wanted to uninstall the game after every single raid we raided Malkorok Heroic. the fight itself is very poorly designed. I mean, it could have been good fight. The idea is not bad to bring something like that, but it's very luck based. There are way too many RNG factors in the fight that can fuck us up and any raid, basically.
Especially in 10 men, because in 10 men you have the same amount of orbs as in 25 men, but way less people to soak them.
Yeah. Basically, clearing is another way to fuck up the whole fight, and also a lot less people to solve the implosions. So it's I believe it's a very poor design, but it's a fight that can give you a lot of frustration, because it's, let's say you do the fight for 5 minutes perfectly, and there is one small mistake because of the RNG, and boom, it's a wipe, and you are still there. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes from designing fights, and the most annoying fight of this expansion.
Yeah, and it was very dull, to be honest.
Also, for me, when it comes to bad fights and bad design, it's by a huge margin, Malkorok. How about you, Samad? What do you think? Do you have any other?
I would like to add Immerzaus to the list. That boss
Really?
is just wrong in so many ways. It's just, it's the same shit with the RNG, getting the swirl or whatever it's called in your face, or sometimes you don't even have to move from it. And even after like 10 kills, somebody always manages to stack up his dots to a really high amount and die from stupidity like that. So it was just a frustrating boss, even while on farm, not from its difficulty, but its randomness and many possibilities for stupidity.
And I wouldn't have expected this answer to bring Immersius into the discussion, to be honest. So yeah, means that it's somewhat by a margin of a memorable boss, because you mentioned it while the others have forgotten it. So it has, let's bring it its merits, so to say. How about the best PvE moment we had, in your opinion, that we experienced?
Let Chosen answer that, because I believe we all want to say the same moment, and
yeah, I guess it's about the first tier.
Let's say at 3. So I count to 3 and we say the name of the boss together when I reach the 3. Okay.
Okay.
So it's 1, 2, 3. It's
Will of the
Emperor heroic.
Yeah.
So we all agree on that. We're set. Best PvE when the nurse screams, and I remember that was the moment when we actually took our first kill screen.
Yeah. I mean, last time we were there, we couldn't survive for 1 or 2 minutes to the fight, and then I thought that, how about going back and trying it again out?
Yeah.
And Jesus Christ, we were 5 or 6 minutes into the fight. I totally felt that I have people there who are having their focus up to 200%, and out of nowhere we had a kill at the sudden. And to be honest, I couldn't raid lead because I was tanking that big guy of which name I don't remember anymore. But I remember that I was tanking that guy, and we, because of having
Rage, you mean the bad?
Not the little one, but the biggie. I mean, what need to be picked up and pulled to the side. Never mind. It does not really matter.
I think it was.
Yeah, it was the
Probably.
strength. I was tanking that, and because of having 2 times as many soakers as it was needed because of our poor roster, I remember we had less DPS than needed. Because of this, I was rushing to the Emperors while dancing and DPSing. I saw people healing while they were DPSers. I was also healing at the very last seconds, and people...
You are interrupted, I think.
Did you lose me by any chance?
Yeah, but you can go on. It was for 3 seconds. And you said, and people something.
Yeah, and people were doing everything in their arsenal, so it was just pure awesomeness from every raider in that raid.
I still have to give my personal credits to 2 of the amazing feature that I think that took place in Mists of Pandaria. So is everyone hearing me out? Because I have to give their well-deserved merits to the challenge modes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when at the very end of the challenge mode, Gelu was not talking, not a bit. I knew that he was so fucking exhausted that you cannot imagine. And yeah, I mean, we did all the challenge modes in 1 or 2 nights. I don't.
It was 3 nights.
Just 3 nights, and we were newbies about it. I mean, we had Neri with us who told everything to us during the runs, not before. So, yeah, Jesus. And well, it was tough, but it was a nice team.
Yeah, at the end of the day, challenge modes are a PvE moment, not because I didn't ask about the raid moment, but a PvE moment, thinking about the challenge modes at the same time. And why not the proving grounds? Because for me personally, they ended up being. I ended up being in the proving grounds way helpless that I ever was in challenge mode. So very strong upvote for that, for the proving grounds. Still a PvE moment.
It was annoying in my opinion. After doing the I don't know 100 or 200 tries in the endless stuff, that was just outrageous sometimes. To be honest, I couldn't handle it.
Proving grounds is very good to try out something different than what your main role is. For example, I was practicing with my mage a lot on proving grounds, and it helped me to bring my mage to raids as well. But to go back to challenge modes, to one more thought, I think challenge mode is one of the most challenging thing in this expansion. It can come to a healer, and I would say to a tank too, but to a healer it's very, very, very challenging. For example, when we did the challenge mode, it was the first tier, I think, or second. I couldn't, and I still can't say a fight that was very challenging for me as a healer, apart from Will of the Emperor Heroic when we started doing it. But challenge mode itself, well, I basically couldn't talk. I was shaking, and I was sweating everywhere. That was very, very, very hard. And I think that apart from 1 or 2 fights during the whole expansion, there were no more challenging stuff for a healer than challenge mode.
We're going again to the challenge modes in Worlds of Draenor.
Yeah, and I can give my biggest respect to those healers who managed to do all of them for gold. So, yeah. And I think it's a good way to make more challenge modes and keep up that stuff for later as well.
And also in Draenor we will get loot from it as well, so it's gonna be more rewarding.
Or something really symbolic.
No, as far as I know, there will be LFR loot from challenge modes.
LFR being nerfed to the ground.
But at the start, it's gonna be awesome. Until we do not have LFR, for example.
If we do challenge modes, if you run challenge modes, then I'm totally up for it.
Yeah, we could. In my opinion, we will see.
What was your favorite boss or boss mechanic in the whole expansion? You're only allowed to name one boss or one boss mechanic from any tier.
Oh.
Only one.
Why just one?
Only one. Because I want to get the best out of you. What remained? What was exactly like oil on top of water in your mind?
Can the Guild Master say too?
Yes, of course, can do.
Oh my god.
Haha, bye bye. Okay, the first thing that I will name is Siegecrafter. I mean, it reminded me of Mimir and Firefighter Chaos on an utter level. So it was awesome for me. And the other one, well, it's really just for me because since Thorim, I always loved when we have to divide up the raid, and that's why it's Galakras. I mean, it was a very long fight. After a while, it was a very boring fight. But when we got there, I really loved that we have to go to the towers, we have to defend ourselves on the ground, and then the boss comes down. It was awesome. It was well crafted, in my opinion. But really, it's just. But it's Siegecrafter, which I vote for number 1.
Well, it was definitely one of the best bosses ever created, ever. What do you think, Jello? Do you have that your specific one boss mechanic or fight that remained that stuck to you all this time?
The bad thing is that I can only say one, but otherwise I would say two, at least two. I would say Twin Consorts, but it's a bit personal as well. That was the fight when I asked Chosen if I could raid lead it, prepare for it, and do it only by myself. So that was, after a long time, a fight that I got for leading. And I believe the mechanic is very good. It's very interesting.
And unique with the statues.
And unique, yeah. I believe the difficulty was lower than where it should be on the fight. I think that if it could be a bit harder, it would be a legendary fight. Right this way it was a bit easy for me, but the mechanic is absolutely epic. So that's my pick, if I could only say one.
Yeah, you can only say one, but you really fast say the second one, but you just mention it because I'm curious, and I guess the others are really curious as well.
What was the name of the sixth boss in Siege? The robot.
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut.
Okay.
Because healing-wise, that fight was just, again, a very challenging one. Healing that fight was as hard as healing a challenge mode.
And you someone about the boss mechanic. Let it be either a mechanic or a boss fight.
I'd say flying on Jikun. That was one of my favorites. Going up and fucking up X. That was fun.
I was afraid somebody would say that. Okay, so end of this part. We've spoken about your favorite mechanics so far and bosses, but let's touch a bit the worst bosses. Which was the worst mechanic or the worst boss in the expansion so far? And I want to start with someone. Worst ever. Name only one, still.
Makarov, but I think we covered this more or less with
Yeah,
mechanics. Most annoying part, frustration. But yeah, Makarov was definitely the one that goes the most. That's the most annoying boss as for the whole raid. So everyone just hated it.
When Malkorok was that bad, I'm not even interested in thinking about the second worst ones because nothing comes close to that.
Well, I wanted to say Leishirek, but it's because I was banishing. I mean, so yeah, that's a personal stuff. But I think we also covered that. So
same goes for Gelu.
Yeah, definitely Makarov.
3 out of 3 marks. Good job, Makarok, and good job, Blizzard, I guess.
well, actually, Makarov, as far as the melee, it was fun, in my opinion. As a raid leader, it was utter frustration. But
Okay, let's leave it like that.
Okay, so if you were to give a mark, to rate Mr. Pandaria as a whole from a scale from 1 to 10, while 10 being the best one, how would you rate it? And what would you have done better about the expansion? Who would like to start, because I really don't know how to nominate.
So on.
Okay.
Yeah, let's give it. I don't know. Let's say 7.5.
And how would you have improved it? Minor tweaks here and there.
No, I don't think it could have been done better. It was a really good expansion. I really enjoyed it, but you know, I'd say I'd rank other expansions higher, so it only gets a 7.5 from me.
Oh, cool. Someone disconnected? I don't think.
I did, but I got.
Okay, and Chosen?
I'm here. I'm all ears.
How would you rate Mr. Pandaria, and what would you change?
Well, it's a strong 8, I guess, for me. So I love the story, the 10 and 25 man balancing, which we covered already. What I hated is the quest and the reputation grinding at some point, and really I do not understand. I mean, these scenarios are good and stuff, but I'm maybe it's personal, but I'm just not that much into scenarios and heroic scenarios, and in my opinion, all this effort could have been put into something else, into something more motivational for the professionals, for the veterans, or more into the story, some phasing, so into another storytelling elements. These scenarios are just not working that much for me, to be honest.
Looked like a filler content here and there.
Absolutely, I didn't like it, and in my opinion, most of them were childish.
And Gelo, I hope, but if I was me, I would have loved to write down all at the same time, not to let yourself influence, but there you go. There we have it. What's your rate?
Yeah, even before I said that someone should start, I already knew that I was about to say 7.5 as well, which is a very good score if you ask me. I believe that this expansion could be 8.5.
Without Malkorok.
Yeah, first of all, without Malkorok. But Blizzard, again, made the same mistake as they did before, and they promised they won't do it again. And first of all, that is having the same content for way too long and leaving it to raiders, making them getting absolutely bored. Like now, Siege of Orgrimmar is the content for way too long, and it's boring, and there is nothing to do in the game. Having this amount of content for one expansion is just way too low.
Even finished my lore master, so imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, they should have made one more content available for the raiders, and I think that is what we really miss in this one.
I strongly believe that, and I think that Trial of the Crusader-ish tier would have been really well done.
As a filler?
Yeah, as the filler, even as simple as that, something like Trial of the
Maybe.
Crusader. It would have been something, and talk was not that.
It's okay if it's a Trial of the Crusader content, if you don't need to do it 4 times a week. Then it's okay. Like, you had to do it 4 times a week back then in Wrath of the Lich King. I mean, yeah, even a simple 5 or 6 bosses could do it for, let's say, 4 months. It's okay, or 3 months. It's perfect. Just something else. I mean, I'm pretty sure that most of the raiders are totally bored of Siege of Orgrimmar and this content now.
Since we all agreed that Siege of Orgrimmar was Mr. Pandaria was a pretty good expansion, if you were to pick a boss ability that you would like to have as an in-game character, or even in real life, why not? What would it be? And you have to pick a mechanic this time.
From Mist of Pandaria bosses?
Or a boss only from the Mist of Pandaria bosses. If you were to go through all the bosses that we encountered, and you would have to pick one mechanic, one boss ability, what would you have? Would you like to have in a fantasy world as a real person, or for your character? Why not?
Because Finger of Death from Archimond could be very good. but that's a different story.
It makes it more interesting to limit you to Mr. Pandaria. Because I would say Frostmourne Hungers.
How about having
any mind control ability works perfect.
Yeah. How about having Tox Fixate?
Tox Fixate,
when everybody needs to rush, because otherwise you will crush them. Like Nand. Well, on a more serious note, let's pick Iron Juggernaut's Mortar Barrage, for example. That was awesome.
Well, it would be nice if you had it as an enhancement shaman. Sounds plausible. Nice. Why not? How about Gil?
I'm still thinking, so I'm passing it to someone for now.
He said any kinds of mind controls.
Any kinds of mind.
We had like Vizius or Locke or Garrosh already mind control, whatever.
Okay, I want to be Malkorok.
You want to be Malkorok. because of the pulse or because of the miasma. You do not want anyone else around you to heal and feel better.
Because of the balls, I guess.
Well, good point. I give you credit.
Question answered, I guess.
Question answered.
Okay.
Full marks. And because we are talking on a funny note now, what was for you the funniest moment you had in Mr. Pandaria while raiding with us in Lucent? And let's say start with someone. I know why.
Actually, it's not one of my funniest moments. It's a funny moment including me, so why don't the others tell the story?
I cannot quote that literally, so Abravia, do you have it? The quote, the literal quote.
I remember it kind of. So if I keep you failing once more, I will take a screwdriver and I will put it up your ass 10 inches minimum. Although I do not remember whether there was inches or centimeters.
If it's about someone, I'm pretty sure it was
Definitely inches. Definitely
inches.
It was awesome. Well,
the funny thing is that I completely forgot which boss we were on,
Jikun.
what was the mechanic we were talking about failing.
Jikun,
yeah.
Call. It was call. On Jikun.
But we nailed that boss, so it was probably because of my really, really strong verbal threat.
And Jello, do you have something to tell us about funny moments?
I believe any moment when Antil said something in the raid chat or in the Hungarian chat was a very, very specific and funny moment.
I remember something about you, Jello, although it wasn't related to the raid. We were a few months ago on a break and we were talking about morning routine, and you said that every morning a cigarette plus a coffee is a guaranteed shit.
Yeah. That's something my friend always told me when we lived in the same apartment. That's how he started the day.
Actually, I also have a funny moment. I don't know if it's a funny or a frustrating one, but when we had the hunters on the conveyor belt on Siegecrafter Heroic, okay, first time Esu fell. I mean, sorry Esu if you are listening this, it's not against you. It was very funny in the very end, so don't get it wrong. So, Esu falling first. Crap. Okay, second time. Crap. I mean, when we were dodging everything, I was calling out everything, and someone said crap. I knew that.
Not just crap, it's shit.
Yeah, yeah. I know we can already vibe, and first everyone was laughing in the Hungarian channel, and I was very, very frustrated. And after the 100th time, I burst out in laughing. To be honest,
it was like every time we heard it was like a combo of replicas. When Esubane, for instance, said, "Oh fuck," and you would always ask something like that. Are we screwed?
yeah, I remember. And I knew the answer.
Mid Siegecrafter progression, when we ceased our raiding operations, it was a bummer, but let's face fact because it happened. Can you summarize a bit on that? What led to that interruption? What kept us from finishing the content?
Can I go for this?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in plain and simple, it was the officers burning out. But what was the reason behind this? That's the interesting part. Well, in my opinion, the progression madness which reached us in Throne of Thunder got the better of us. Since, as we discussed already, this balance between progression and casual stuff, this is a two-edged blade, what we tried and actually nailed. But it lasted quite long, and it required way more preparation from our side, from raid leading side, that I couldn't really handle while doing my diploma, while getting job and a new position. Really, it was just too much. And to be honest, what really made me very angry is that when we accepted people with way worse attitudes, just with because they had better skills, and they had a professional gameplay, which is not us actually. And well, to be honest, this time in Warlords of the Draenor, if we get these kinds of people and they test us, to be honest, well, they will fail miserably, to be honest. Because now I really want to recruit people who have proper skills, maybe not professional skills, absolute professional
but
skills.
Social skills. Maybe.
But social skills as well. While, of course, we already know that the core of our team is absolute professionals. I can guarantee that. But really, if we recruit, I would rather recruit proper skills with good social skills, with no abusive attitudes. And in my opinion, if we would have done the same, probably we wouldn't have nailed Garrosh that soon, for example, in April, but we would have nailed it in midsummer if we do not get bothered with holidays. That's my opinion, and probably we wouldn't have burnt out in this situation. Apart from that, I loved everything what we managed. We only need to stay away from that attitude when we start watching WoW progress.
Can you talk a bit further to the microphone because it's interfering a bit?
Yes, sorry.
Okay.
So basically, we just need to avoid that attitude when we start watching WoW progress.
Have you as officers agreed together what Lucent's plans for Warlords of Draenor are? Did you sit together as officers and decide what you're going to do, what Lucent is going to do, how it's going to survive, and how are you going to raid and spend our time together in the next expansion?
Well, in the next expansion, well, to be honest, we will try and manage what just a few tried and maybe failed at. Well, we will have a casual we will have a casual guild of WoW veterans with one raid day, but with professionals, as I said, and a live guild for socials, PvP players, challenge mode people, normal, heroic, and maybe mythic. Also, what we did not have now in Mist of Pandaria, we will have a pro website. And to be honest, I want it to become a sanctuary to WoW veterans, which I already advertised to our people who remained with us. And I really want the guild to have so people can have fun in and maybe just doing nothing, logging in, chit-chatting while waiting for a raid. And really a guild without abusive behavior. And we really talked about this with the officers. I talked with you about it, Abravi, as well, as our newly found officer. And in my opinion, we can totally manage this, and I'm pretty sure about this. This rest and what experience we gathered, to be honest, we will be the first guild with one raid day who will manage some progress while having awesome fun.
And this is about to wrap it up, but before we wrap it up and we end this wonderful time we had together today, I want each of you as officers to give a very hearty shout out to the raiders that you're about to lead in Warlords of Draenor. So let's start with you, because you'll be talking, and then we move on to the others as we speak.
Okay, well, guys, chop, come and play with us. And, well, yeah, our guild welcomes really good players, so don't stay away too long, I guess, in China.
You summarized your every catchphrase, epic.
Yeah, you will hear about it later on as well.
Jello?
Okay, so the job is to convince people to join us, or I didn't totally get this.
In my opinion, you guys could also elaborate on what I covered in my last two thoughts before going for the advertising part. So, what do you think about well, what we managed, what we failed at, and what do you plan, or how would you change it? Just some sentences you would add.
Encourage the raiders.
Yeah.
Be really
Okay. Well, I believe that Chosen pretty much summed up everything we need to know about this subject, and I don't really want to go into details myself to what went wrong and why we stopped raiding. But what I believe is that if I look to the future, we can achieve big things together. And if Chosen said that that many people tried it and not many achieved it together, I'm pretty sure that this is going to work, because now we've been playing together for many years. We want to do this. Everyone wants to do it, and I think that we learned a lot from our previous experience of what went wrong, what was good, and we can now find the perfect balance between progressing, having fun, not pressuring too much, but still killing most of the bosses and playing on the highest level. So this is, I think, the greatest chance for everyone to come back to the game without sacrificing real life or other activities, good mood, and stuff like that, in order to achieve raiding progress, because here with us you can have both, and I can guarantee that.
Someone, we want to hear you this time. Go, chop.
Alright, well, apart from the screwdriver, which you are getting definitely if you're not joining us, we can guarantee lots of fun and lots of good progress with really good guys.
Good.
Great, so this was our last topic. This wraps it up, guys. Thank you very much for having you here. It's been our DK tank, Soman, our regular Chosen, and our everlasting officer Jello. Thank you very much for having us here and bearing us a long time. It's been a really long interview. Yeah. I'm Abravia, the mage in the guild since 2 years, and chop. See ya in Worlds of Draenor, guys. Ciao.